So Susan's analysis relies on the assumption that, what's her analysis? So Mark says 90% of the residents of the city of Breville now report they know somebody who was impacted by the recent increase of crime in the city. Okay. Susan's analysis is that our normal crime rate is 10%, so that's 1 out of 10 residents affected by crime. So at any given time, if a person knows 25 other residents of Breville, one or more of those residents will very likely have been a crime victim. So she's using kind of a statistical analysis to say that, if crime, is distributed evenly at any given time, if you know 25 other people, you are very likely to know at least one crime victim. What's an assumption in there? I guess an assumption is that her analysis is correct, or that, well, we'll just start with that. Is her assumption that normal crime rates are very rarely exceeded? No. If they were exceeded, it would make it even more likely that somebody would know somebody who was impacted by the recent crime. So this doesn't affect her analysis. Does it assume knowledge that a personal acquaintance has been affected by a crime generates more fear of criminal activity than does knowledge of crime statistics? There's nothing about fear of criminal activity in the passage, so that can't be it. Does she assume that Mark is not consciously distorting the statistics he presents? She probably does assume that, but her analysis doesn't rely on it. So that's not central. It's not the central assumption. D, the number of people who each know someone affected by crime is always greater than 90% of the population. That's definitely not an assumption that she makes. She just goes with it because Mark says it. So that leaves us with E, which must be it. But why is it E? Crime is not normally concentrated in geographically isolated parts of the city. So if crime is normally concentrated in geographically isolated parts of the city, her analysis would not be correct, because if it's geographically isolated, you could have people who don't know anybody who were affected by crime, and some people who, if they know 25 other residents of Breville, 24 out of 25 were affected by this crime. So her analysis relies on the assumption that everything's kind of distributed more or less evenly across this city of Breville. So I suppose it could have been Breville. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe there's a real city and I just didn't know it. Anyway, good story. Choice E is the assumption on which her analysis relies, that things are evenly distributed.